Well, look, we're super stoked to have you, Rugged Radios, as not only a guest here on TOPO Talk, but as our 2023 Prescott Valley Outdoor Summit official radio communication sponsor. To have a national brand like you guys come forward, you guys are super forward in the saddle with everything you do. Thank you for coming, Greg Cottrell. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, it's funny when you say national brand, it's all of this started in my garage. I don't really care about anything else. I'm a stories guy. I want to hear the Rugged Radio story, like the bar napkin story. Where did it start? Oh man, it's crazy. It's been a long time. Let's see. What is it? 2023, 32. I'm going on this year. So next year will be 33 years in the communication business. So never thought I'd be in the communication business like I am, but it's been such a great ride. And, I love stuff like what you're doing, your area that you're in, and events, this whole overlanding, UTV, off-road, you name it, industry. It's just so much fun. It's what I grew up in. And so everything that we're doing today, the quote overlanding, is the off-roading that I did as a young kid. And in my dad's 51 Willys wagon,
right.
and so, it's not new what people are doing today. It's just stuff that I did as a kid, and now they're finally finding it.
I bet.
And, so I love stuff like this. I love the fact of people like you are pushing the industry forward for companies like us to showcase. And
what's your earliest memory? What was that spark that said, this is what I'm going to do?
Oh man. Well, from a child, so a little brief history of me. My parents were, my dad had a high performance motorcycle shop in the city of Industry. So he started in 1965. My dad was famous for his engine building. He built some of the fastest in the mini craze in the 70s. He had the fastest bikes out there. And that's what he was extremely well known for. And so in 1969, we became a Kawasaki dealer. So we were very early on a Kawasaki dealer. My mom gave birth, and I don't know, 6-7 hours later, she was taking me in to do payroll. So I was there every day since. My parents couldn't afford daycare, so I was at the shop every day. And so I grew up
with off-road motorcycles. Basically.
Yeah, this is so at the age of 4, I started riding a motorcycle. I'll never forget that first day. I had a Yamaha 60. I had a 71 JT1 60. I was so small that my dad took the seat off, that he put rags on the bars, and I sat on that bike, and he was telling me what to do. And I'm like, Dad, I got it. I got it, Dad. I kick-started the thing. I dropped it in gear and let out the clutch, and I never looked back.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
I mean, it all started with motorcycles. I remember what was that movie that one of the first that got me interested?
On Any Sunday.
On Any Sunday, yeah.
Yep. Yep, that was it. I was part of that whole deal. Early 70s. I remember riding one of the first prototype jet skis before they came out, and I was written up in the newspaper. This little kid riding this strange watercraft, and so. And I've been doing off-road. My dad raced Baja in the 70s. He raced Class 11. That's what I race. That's what my son races. So we're 3-generation Class 11 racers. And, I grew up Jeeping and going to Death Valley, and you name it, I've done it. I've driven it. I've done it all. And, man, that's when it really started. It started early on.
So was the first products you guys were into was for racing products, I'm assuming?
So you know what we did was, so we grew up in this motorcycle shop. We were a very successful Kawasaki dealer, first display store in the history of Kawasaki and motorcycle shops. We built this beautiful store in Covina, California. And man, we were the number one jet ski dealer. It was insane. I was head of parts and service, and that's what I loved. Well, in 1991, my parents sold the motorcycle shop, and man, I mean,
I had no idea what I was going to do. For me, I was a guy that barely graduated high school. It just wasn't for me. I didn't go to college. It wasn't that I wasn't smart. It wasn't for me. I was way above it, way above it. But I knew I couldn't work for anybody, that I needed to be my own boss. Well, my parents and I went into business in 1991 after the motorcycle shop, and we started making aviation headsets.
Oh,
So we had a friend of ours that kind of gave us this idea of aviation headsets. Aviation back in the 90s was hot. And so we found a factory overseas. We went up, set up a factory. We started building aviation headsets. And hey, aviation is fun. I did a lot of flying, and we're part owners in L-19 Bird Dog, and I got to fly in a Pitts, in a Stearman. I flew with the Silver Wings. I did all kinds of flying and loved that. But off-road was it for me. Racing, going fast, you name it. That's what I truly loved. And
I didn't know that. I didn't know that aviation was such an early thing for you guys. I got my ticket in 2002 out of Montgomery Airfield to San Diego and loved it. You're still like you're outdoors, right? To me, it's an outdoor activity.
Yeah. Well, it's funny is so our company that we had was called Avcom, and we became a very, very successful aviation headset manufacturer. Well, in the early days of aviation, in 91, hey, aviation's fun. I loved it. Man, I loved off-road. Right. I loved off-road. And people don't even know. So I had the company, my parents and I built Avcom up. I made all of the communications for everyone. So everybody in the off-road business, I was the one who invented the off-road intercoms. So all these side-by-side intercoms, the first Vox intercoms, I was the guy who built it all. I built the cables, I built the headsets, the helmet kits, and I was private labeling for everything because Avcom wasn't a retail-based business.
Right.
And so I was big into private label. So I private labeled for everyone in the industry. So when people say, "Oh, I had so-and-so's product," well, actually you had my product.
Right.
PCI, Racer X, MRC, racing radios, racing electronics, the Speedcom, the list goes on forever. Track Scan. I made them. We would go to a NASCAR event and sell 4,000 or 5,000 headsets on a weekend. Wow. It was insane. So I supplied all of NASCAR, all of IndyCar, all of off-road. I owned the factory that did it all. And, when you work with family, you can imagine, you ever watch American Chopper? Yeah. Working with family, my dad and I, man, we would butt heads bad. My dad was extremely smart mechanical and making stuff go fast. I got that same gene. My grandfather invented all the aerial photography equipment that mapped our country. He was absolutely a brilliant man. Well, I'm glad that some of those genes got passed on to me because I don't know what it was. I didn't go to high school. Electronics, I didn't know. But what I could do is I could figure it out.
Right.
I could, you name it, I could figure out how to build a microphone. Boy, if people knew what I put into the microphone that everybody uses today, oh man, that microphone that I developed is used worldwide in everything. It's the absolute best. People say, "Oh, they didn't develop it," or like people that are in this business against me, they didn't develop anything. I'm the guy who developed it all, and it's just been a fun ride. So, anyways, with Avcom that we had, my parents, my dad and I got to the point we just couldn't work together anymore.
Right.
He didn't want to work and retire. When I asked him about, getting a little personal, my dad and I had a great relationship, but I'll never forget the day I said, "Well, let me take over the business." And he says, "You'll never be able to run a business like this." I said, "Okay, that's fine." I'm a very, very determined guy. And I think that was the difference between my dad and I, that I was always the guy that was willing to do whatever it took to be better.
Persistence.
Persistence.
I hear persistence.
The thing is this, I grew up with a lot of disabilities. Like I was born legally blind. And so after when you're 2400, you're technically legally blind. I'm 20/1250, heavy astigmatism. So without a contact, I can't see 2 inches in front of my face.
Right.
But I will ride motorcycles, drive a car, I'll do everything and go fast. I don't let any limitations slow me down. I lost my left eye in 1993, September 1st, 93, in an accident. I had a car battery explode, and I lost my left eye. Well, that was the better of the two eyes. So I got left with one, and that wasn't very good.
Wow.
And I'll never forget the day, like I couldn't ride my motorcycle. I couldn't ride. And my friend was like, come on, let's go. And I'm like, I just can't put it together. I can't do it. No depth perception. The next day I woke up and I just said, F it. I didn't say that exact word, but I was like, yes, I said, just F it. And I twisted the throttle and I never looked back. And that was a defining moment in my life that I hit that throttle and I rode so fast and so hard that it was in Glamis. I don't know how long it was. 45 minutes later, I stopped on the top of a hill, big dune, and I looked around. There was nobody around me. And then I rode back over and found everybody, and they said, well, you were just going so fast, we couldn't keep up, so we stopped. And to be honest with you, that's how I run my life. My life is run wide open every second, but it's exciting. So fast forward, we go through Avcom. I helped my parents build the business up, sell it, because we sold it. I walked away with nothing with that, and I said, I'm going to start a communication company building radios. I was going to build handheld radios. So I got it because I saw a hole. I was making all the accessories for all the radios and intercoms, but I wasn't making radios. And so I started making radios. This is going back 18 years ago. Started making radios. And then I was a few years later, the factory that I set up in 1991, the company Avcom fell apart, went out of business. I was able to acquire the factory back. So I took the factory back over and I never looked back. And I just started building products and innovating. And I went through some days of some stuff that, hey, learning curves. And, back before I had my Korea factory back, some of the products I had were just okay. And I had to rebuild everything. Then I acquired my factory back, got my business partner back, and I just said, okay, it's game on. Now we're going to build the best product anybody's ever seen. And radios was a big part of that. And oh man, what an exciting time. The communication business, rugged we go every direction. I built a cohesive product line that what it does, it kind of all morphs together. So it can shift and move any direction. We market the off-road stuff, we market racing, but like the racing side is such a small part of what we do. I still have the number one selling aviation headset on Amazon. I sell tens of thousands of aviation headsets, and I sell them on Amazon. And
wow.
I
look at your product line. A lot of people may not know this, from off-roading, UTV, off-road racing, short course, overlanding, motorcycle, ATV, circle track, agriculture. And that caught my attention because we have a kind of a hobby farm, my wife and me. We've got a tractor and got some acreage, and you have to be in communication with your people. We got animals everywhere and stuff happens quick. So agriculture caught my attention, airboats, aviation obviously caught my attention, being a low-time pilot, school districts, communication, industrial, fire and safety, traffic control, golf courses. You just kind of...
Yeah. Well, what's hard is how do you market to everything? We can do anything, but marketing to everything. And so, we took the last couple of years, not necessarily marketing, focusing on being the best. Like I said, when I live my life, like I push myself really, really hard, personally and professionally, and I push the company hard. It's just like building products. People have no idea our two-way radio, the technology I built into it, just the receiver, the Super Herodyne receiver, the transmitter that I put in it, I mean, it's over the top for the price of the radio.
Right.
But what I didn't want to do is I wasn't going to be a cheap radio brand. Sometimes people compare me to the cheap radio brands like Baofeng and stuff like that. We're so far different than that. I did use Baofeng at one time, and their product was just crap and high warranty ratio, lots of warranties, and it worked okay. But when I started personally building and tooling every part of the radio, we touch every single part of it. I just the drawings that I have to do for a button. Oh man, it's crazy, and tooling and everything else. People have no idea. They think they know who I am and what I do. You have no clue. You have no clue what we put in.
It's difficult, right? I mean, people from the outside perceive companies, even successful companies, small companies, big companies, and they look at them and go, that's easy. I can do that. Where when you really get into the stories of business leaders, just even business owners, and you get them set them aside and ask them what it took, and it's always the same thing. It's always a lot of persistence, a lot of time. This didn't happen overnight. You're saying 13 years, 32 years, a lot of these different phases, trial and error. You had to rebuild and retool. It just takes a lot of persistence.
Oh, it does. It takes a good team. At one point, the business was all about me, and it's long gone from those times. And I'm just so glad I have a team that companies would die for. And the greatest thing that I love, I have people wanting to come to work for Rugged. And I just hired a new guy in sales that we're going to announce shortly, that just, man, a huge industry guy with great knowledge and great, that's going to be heading up power sports. I can't wait. We're bringing just a level of people that want to be not corporate.
Right.
Okay? I'm not a corporate guy. I'm a big company. People don't realize how big of Rugged is, but I run it as a family business because we are. I'm here every day. I'm not a vacation guy. I rarely take time off.
I'd imagine some of your biggest events are vacation because you're either in Baja or you're at a big race or because you're outdoors.
Yep. You know what? It used to be my vacation every year was the Baja Taco Tour. So I do a taco tour, and I pre-run the Baja 1000, and I do free support. Just help anybody who needs help. You need a part along the way. I got the truck stocked full of parts, and I would just give parts away.
Right.
I'd give any communication stuff away, help people, just be there to support everybody and help. And I started transitioning my taco tour to an actual U.S. taco tour now. And that way I take 5 days off.
There you go.
And so that's my vacation. Once a year I do that. I have one other vacation that I do. I go to Hawaii. I'm a third degree black belt under John Hackelman from the Pit. He's if you look him up, one of the most famous MMA trainers in the world, and that's my trainer and mentor. And I'm the level 4 instructor at the Pit now. So awesome. I train the future black belts and the black belts, and so every year we take them to Hawaii, and take them to the Hawaii to get your black belt. And if you're a black belt under John Hackelman, it's special. It means a lot. But I got to tell you, he's trained me a new gear that I never thought I had, a gear of just dig deep and go and work harder than ever. He's done a lot for me. My mentor, John Hackelman, he's an amazing man.
That's like building a business, right? You don't get a black belt overnight. You certainly don't get 3 overnight. And every next level is even that much more difficult. But once you master it through persistence, and I think what you alluded to, which I'm happy you did, was teamwork and you can only get so far by yourself or with a small team. At some point, if by luck and persistence and hard work and right decisions, you get a great team that gets you to that next level. It takes a lot. You hear these people complaining because they don't have this, they don't have that. I'm like, go out and earn it. Just go out and get it.
Go out and grab it. You know what? I do a lot of business consulting. and in like management consulting. Because you know what's crazy is, so if you come to the Rugged Complex, I encourage anybody that's in the area, please come by and see it, because the pictures don't do it justice on how incredible this place is.
Would you throw out your address so they know?
What's that?
Go ahead and throw out your address so they know where you're at.
Yeah, it's 509 Traffic Way, Arroyo Grande, California. And I mean, it's 3-acre complex. We've got an incredible building that is the premier ergonomic open format building. We've got an incredible fab shop. I got the Moto Lodge. So I've got all the builds I've ever done in this just killer Moto Lodge that is just over the top. And soon I'll have taco open, tacos and coffee only. I built an old gas station that's going to be the best taco shop and coffee shop on the Central Coast.
You got me at tacos.
Yeah,
you got me at
not
tacos.
like I haven't. Yeah, it's not like I have enough to do already.
Right. That's awesome.
So I'll just sleep less.
Well, I want to throw out your URL. It's ruggedradios.com. That's easy enough to remember, ruggedradios.com.
Yep.
And you guys, again, have stepped up to be our official Radios Comms sponsor for the 2023 Prescott Valley Outdoor Summit. Super stoked to have you guys. Having some radios is going to be huge for us as well. First year, we didn't have enough. And we're growing like you are. We're at over 98 exhibitor sponsors. That sounds small to some, but it's only our second year. So we've grown by over 30% in our second year in terms of exhibitors and sponsors, and hope to see the same in terms of attendees. But to have you guys on board says a lot. We just really appreciate you guys partnering up with us.
Well, you know what the thing is this, we love this kind of thing. We do a lot of events. It's hard to get to everything, but yeah. I believe in this event in this area. So I believe in it. That's why we put infrastructure in Prescott Valley now. We've got a trailer. We're building more staff. We're going to do so much more in Arizona, because spreading the word about like radios. Just if you get a basic GMRS radio and you put it on channel 19 and you're cruising the highways and just call out for people, you know what? You're like a kid again. It's so much fun to be having your handheld radios and you're talking from car to car. Yeah. You know, it's not just about an off-road UTV. It's not about that. And it's about when you're just caravanning and traveling. You know, you don't have to be on your cell phone. You're connecting everybody together, and you won't believe how much fun you'll have.
You remember the 70s? What was the name of the show? Smokey and the Bandit or whatever?
Absolutely.
Right? So I'm sure you watched that. We had a CB in our car, and our dad would drive us. We started driving out in the early 70s out to Lake Mojave from Southern California. And, you know, he'd take the river road and we're on the highway forever. I don't know how he did it, because he'd be at work. And then on a Thursday night, Friday, we would leave, and we spent all weekend at Lake Mojave out of Catherine's Landing, had a boat, Slip C8. We had it for years. And, but we would listen to the CB and talk to truckers coming and going, just to entertainment. Not to work, like passing, and it worked.
Well, and that's GMRS is the new CB. That's the greatest thing about it. Channel 19 is a travel channel. And, you know, man, it's the new CB, and it's just fun. And the GMRS platform, this is what's crazy about it. So we do commercial band platforms. We do all the stuff for racing. Racing has adopted these VHF commercial bands, and man, they're difficult. And I got to tell you, I'll have every racer, we'll be in a caravan going on our GMRS radios. And I'll never forget my buddy, JT Taylor. We were on our taco tour last year, and I called out the mile markers that we were at, and I was talking to my buddy. He says, and I said, you know, we're 27 miles away, and we're talking perfectly clear. Then all of a sudden, my buddy JT gets on.
Explain GMRS for everybody that doesn't.
General Mobile Radio Service. GMRS is it's the future of radios. And what it is, it's a UHF platform, and it's the FCC set aside this UHF frequency band for the general mobile radio service for everybody to use. It's a $30 10-year family license. So it's really easy to obtain a license on it. And the GMRS platform is so good. Oh man, the frequency band that's at it has less interference with all the electronics in the vehicles. In so many instances, it can work far better than VHF. The VHF that like the off-road desert racing uses, that was supposed to be for marine. And long distance marine over water, it wasn't intended to be in the desert.
Right.
It wasn't intended to be in canyons and everything else. And it's a pain to deal with. The antenna has to be really long and it has to be tuned perfect. The antenna cable, you have to have everything right. The technology that I've put into that is beyond incredible in the off-road racing business. Just the antenna and the cable that I had to develop to be the best. But GMRS, it is the absolute future. It's something that once you try it, you'll never go back. And that's what's happening. So I've put a lot into GMRS. Like we talked about a little bit of the technology of the transmitters, the receivers. I found the best products. So we're not just a cheap plastic radio. We're a extruded. We have a injection molded aluminum housing with a plastic overmold on it, so the circuitry is shielded. We have the best quality components. I'm willing to sacrifice margin to build a better product because I live, eat, and breathe this equipment, and I strive to be the best, not just a inexpensive product that we push out the door.
Awesome. Well, again, we're super stoked to have you. Thank you for being our 2023 sponsor for radio communications. We hope we see more of you. Now, you say you're making a good move when it comes to the Prescott Valley region. I'll tell you why. It's number one of the fastest growing regions in the Southwest. Everybody up here has got some type of recreational vehicle, whether it's an RV, a Jeep, a side-by-side. I think I got one of each, and that's not uncommon. Water sports, camping, hunting, fishing, that's what we do up here, and we're central. So everybody here is jumping to, elk country, or they're off-roading up in northern Flagstaff. There are 10,000 spots and destinations from this location. We're like a jumping point to adventure. And that's why we started the Prescott Valley Outdoor Summit, was exactly for that reason, to, bolster the industry, the outdoors industry, whether it's Jeeps or it's kayaks or it's hunters. And then again, to have a guy like you and your organization partner up with us to make that happen, it means a lot to us up here. So whenever you get up here, let us know. And we'll have tacos in person, not over the radio.
Exactly. Well, I'm definitely going to get up there soon with my full-time employee, Reed Norden, up there setting up infrastructure. We're even looking at buildings. We're going to do a lot more infrastructure. So I'm going to be up there more because it's an amazing place, and I want to service our customer better and be part of this industry. A lot of companies are cutting back right now with our economic times. Yeah. I'm not. I'm pushing forward. In so many ways, I'm investing in our community, investing in the furthering the company, and I love that. So right now, it can be scary economic times. I don't look at it that way. I look at it, this is a great economic time because we can be better, we can be faster, we can be stronger, and our customer service is over the top. So having infrastructure in other places to further that customer experience and touch more customers in all these ways, I'm excited. And you give us a platform to do that, because however many thousands of people that go there, hey, if I can touch 100 people, I guarantee they're going to love us. And if they're going to give us an opportunity for us to supply them with something. And that's what it's all about. Just let me touch you. Let me get you to know us, who we are, not just try to, shove a product down your throat. I just, when people come here to the Rugged Complex, I do the personal tours, and people are like, well, you're taking the time to do this. I said, I know, because I love this. And I love it when people come by, and I can't do it every single time, but I try to every time do that. Walk down, greet people that walk in the door, know that I'm an owner that's here every day. And like I say, I love to come to the events when I can because I want to shake people's hands. I want to talk to people. I want to work on cars. I want to do that kind of stuff. And people say, "You're working on my car and you're the owner?" Yeah, I'm the best technician we have, and I love doing this. So
Awesome.
as long as you keep having events like this, it's going to keep us going.
We're trying. Greg Cottrell, founder, CEO of Rugged Radios, ruggedradios.com. Again, 2023 radio communication sponsor of the 2023 Prescott Valley Outdoor Summit. Thanks for being on TOPO Talk, brother.
All right. Thank you. I can't wait to talk to you in a couple more years to see how everything has grown.
I appreciate it, man. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Ciao.